it is ovum, or male it is sperm. So this donor, when it comes to surrogacy, is a totally different thing, because the concept of surrogacy itself is the couple who are not able to, what do you call, as those who are not able to get children or maybe reproduce, so they will take the help of a fertile female, wherein the what do you call as pregnancy will be there with somebody else, and there are a number of rules for that, of course. So identification will be concealed and all that. So this is been happening, and we had a number of movies also coming up, and many discussions, debates and all this. But what happened in the recent or last year was, there was an amendment made that there should be no using of donors gametes or the reproductive cells, in the sense, if the couple, the husband and wife, are not able to bear children because of the other issues, infertility issues, so they are supposed to they are supposed to donate the sperm or ovum, and this will be fertilized in somebody else or the other female fertile female womb, and that is how the pregnancy will be taken place. But people who are not able to, or people who are suffering from various illnesses where they are not able to donate this, they also had challenged the court, wherein, what if we are not able to provide this for the surrogate mother, rather we use a donor for this. This was a discussion that was happening. Okay, so here this revision of the rules has overturned the previous amendment, where it made sure that donated eggs or sperm is not allowed. So in March 2023, this notification was challenged in the Supreme Court by a woman with Mayer Rokitansky Custer-Hauser syndrome. It is a syndrome, a rare congenital disorder that affects the reproductive system and cause infertility, in a way wherein a female is not able to produce enough eggs for the reproduction. So during this case, what will happen? Even if the person wants a child, or the couple wants a baby or a child, and yet they are not able to take up this, even though surrogacy is allowed in India, what will be the condition? That was the idea in here. So that is why the recent revision was made. Hope you're getting the idea. Okay, so surrogacy, a question in maybe in interview also, or maybe in means, till now indirect questions are asked, but this is a what do you call as a debate that is happening. One should be having an awareness about this. That's why we are learning about this. So we will look into key points regarding what was the Supreme Court's revision on this surrogacy rules. So surrogacy with donor gametes is permitted if either spouse in the intending couple is certified by the district medical board to necessitate donor gametes due to a medical condition. So here, before, this was not allowed. Today, if the person, if the couple, intending couple, do not have enough sperm count or eggs, wherein they are not able to produce it, right? They are unable to produce it. They can actually use a donor, but that couple, intending couple, should be certified by the district medical board. Hope you're getting it. As long as you are understanding, I'll just be speaking in English. Wherever you are not able to get it, where it is saturated for you. So for some of you here, you can tell me, I can go bilingual. Okay. So this means that the couples are still ineligible for surrogacy if both partners have medical issues. Okay. So even though the rules are revised, couple will be still ineligible for surrogacy if they have medical issues until they get this certification from the district medical board, or else it will be illegal only. So divorced or widowed women choosing surrogacy are required to use their own eggs in combination with the donor sperm. So for women, this rule is been made, because ultimately it is like somebody's womb and somebody's eggs and sperm, and does it make any sense? And there are mostly ethical issues, ethical consequences that come up with this surrogacy. And in India, when it comes to India, India's diaspora is not yet ready for the concept. Most of the times, yes, it is a reality that we understand. For the people, for an individual who wants to have their own child, this is a blessing. but still it is under debate. Still it faces criticism in different ways. Maybe you might have heard about the celebrities what do you call us, for the surrogacy method, or maybe various methods wherein they are not actually getting impregnated, wherein they are going for the donors or other aspects. So this is still a debatable issue. But anyway, regarding this, maybe any rights of the person, and especially I took up this because of the when the woman with this particular issue, congenital disorder, challenged the Supreme Court regarding this notification. Okay, so recent in the past, this is what maybe prominently from the polity, that's what I thought. So we have added here. And when it comes to surrogacy, we know that surrogacy is an arrangement where a woman known as the surrogate mother, so that woman will be called a surrogate mother, agrees to carry and deliver a baby of another individual. That is surrogacy, right? Hope you know the idea about this. So there are various ways. Traditional surrogacy is there, gestational surrogacy is there. So the traditional surrogacy means it involves father's sperm to fertilize the surrogate's egg. Directly the sperm of this couple, the man, will be directly used with fertilized with the surrogate mother's, another female's egg itself. That is traditional. So gestational is the baby is not biologically related to the surrogate, wherein different egg and sperm that is fertilized, then that is implanted in the surrogate's uterus. So there are two methods: traditional surrogacy and gestational surrogacy. Traditional, normally the sperm itself will be the father, the actual father. But gestational, it could be the couples. As of now, donation is allowed, but provided if they have medical condition. So this is the revised rule. Hope you got, this is the gist of the rules, revised rules. Okay, yes. So moving on, green election. You might have come across this article on Hindu regarding green election, as we are anticipating the upcoming election. So there are discussions that these are happening, wherein we have to switch to green elections, sustainable elections, wherein because of election campaigns and all the process or activities involved in the election actually leading to carbon footprint, right, or more carbon emission in a way. This is also one of the major activity, and we all know that how much in the election the money is spent, the activities involved, and all the materials used, maybe for promoting, for campaigning, etc. So it is high time we have to switch to green elections, taking the notice or modeling a model of the other countries worldwide. Even in India also, some of the states have taken up this in the elections, in the state elections. So that's the reason we are discussing about it. Less likely to be asked in prelims, but there are chances to be asked in mains, the implication or the important significance of green election. Okay, so let's look into this. So promoting environmentally conscious voting practices in India is crucial given the climate crisis. This was an article. So we will just look into the key points, highlights mentioned in the article. Okay. So what is green election? We will see. I'm just focusing on the highlights first, then we will understand in detail. So ahead of the assembly elections in 5 states in August 2023, this had happened in the past, in the last year. The Election Commission of India reiterated its long-standing call to avoid non-biodegradable materials in election campaigns, expressing concerns over environmental risk. Even in the state elections, state level elections, assembly elections as well. In the last year, Election Commission had made sure all the materials used during campaign should be biodegradable, rather to avoid all the non-biodegradable, especially the plastic materials or the flex, what we use, everything, right? So that has to be avoided. That was mentioned in the state level assembly itself last year. So conventional election practices which involve paper-based materials, energy-intensive rallies, loudspeakers, PVC flex banners, hoardings, disposable items, all these will actually result in environmental footprint and affect the health of the citizens also. So what happens after the election, or maybe you might have witnessed in and around what happens post-election, all the banners, flags, or whatever they use for campaign will be less likely the cleanup process will happen, right? We are more focused on who won, who lost, rather than focusing on the environmental aspects. This can be actually an environmental issue also, but as it is, we are talking about election. I have put up under along with the polity itself. Okay, this is the key takeaway here. Speaking of the definition of green election, a green election entails an electoral procedure that emphasizes eco-friendly practices aimed at minimizing environmental harm. So green election, wherever green comes, we understand that it is eco-friendly, right? Environmentally sustainable. So as much as possible using eco-friendly aspects in the election. So this involves initiatives like employing sustainable materials for campaign materials, embracing digital voting system. Already we have switched to digital voting system. Before we had this ballot papers were used, correct? So there also more of carbon footprint that has been switched, but that is not enough. We have to switch even what you call as in a better ways wherein we can reduce this carbon footprint or the waste generation. So embracing digital voting systems, advocating for energy efficient transportation, and reducing waste generation. This is the idea of green election. So the idea or the concept is not conceived in India alone. In the rest of the world, in different countries, they are trying to initiate this green election concept. But let's see some of the instances or examples in India that has taken wherein election has been taken so far when they have taken up eco-conscious electoral practices. We have two examples in this article. One is about Kerala and in Kerala, and the other one in Goa. So before that, how Indian government switched to eco-conscious electoral practices, we can see. So introduction of EVMs actually revolutionized the paper usage. So introduction of EVMs revolutionized the electoral process, reducing paper usage and enhancing efficiency. That was the first and foremost step in terms of green election, we can say in India. Okay. So why we are talking about these examples? Because if at all it is asked in mains, you'll have to make sure that you give enough illustrations in your answers. That's the reason, right? So one good example in 2019, Kerala's proactive measures during the 2019 general election banned single-use plastics, setting a precedent for eco-friendly campaign. You can see in this image wherein even the stalls, whatever they have kept, all are sustainable, all are used like coconut leaves and all that. So this is what we can see in Kerala's example. Even in Goa also, Goa's sustainable voting infrastructure in 2022. Implementation of eco-friendly election booths in Goa showcased a commitment to sustainability through the use of locally sourced biodegradable materials. So in this picture also, you can see the entire booth, the election booth was, usually they will use this banners and flex and all that. In this image, you can see leaves are used and on that they have painted so that to reduce the carbon footprint. So we already have enough examples. So that is why the issue or the discussion that is going on in the upcoming election, that is much needed, right? So at the world level, if you see global sustainable initiatives, Sri Lanka's carbon neutral election strategy in 2019. So Sri Lanka's SLPP party led the way with a carbon sensitive campaign, offsetting emissions through tree planting and public engagement. So one of the parties in Sri Lanka also made sure that during their campaign, they literally planted saplings. That is one initiative at the global level. One more is Estonia. Estonia is what kind of country? Estonia comes where? Can you tell me which are the neighboring countries of Estonia? Or Estonia is one among the group what we call as Baltic countries, right? What are Baltic countries? Baltic, which are the Baltic countries? Can you tell me? Yes. No idea. I don't know whether live you are replying, but anyway, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. These are the three Baltic countries which they are part of or surrounded or bordering Baltic Sea. That's why they're called as Baltic countries. Okay. One of the Baltic countries is Estonia. So in Estonia, digital voting revolution, that is adoption of digital voting, offered a greener alternative, boosting voter participation while reducing environmental impact. So all this we see worldwide or also in India. So it is high time we switch to green election. This is the article all about, the crux of the entire article we have to look into. Even further, if you come across any such article regarding green election, just go through it, because you'll get a better idea. That is one thing. And wherever there are examples found in the article, make sure that you make a note of it so that you can use in your answers, right? Yes. So this is about green election. We'll move on to history part. Sant Ravidas was recently in news. That is because the Prime Minister unveiled the statue of Sant Guridas and honored him on his birth anniversary. So Uttar Pradesh is the birthplace of Sant Ravidas, a small town there. So Govardhanpur. So this is the reason this statue was unveiled, and also the speech regarding wherein Sant Ravidas means what comes to our mind is Bhakti movement. Bhakti movement. He was one of the Bhakti saints. So he's revered as a saint, philosopher, poet, and social reformer. Why we should learn about this? Because we know that throughout the year there will be some birth anniversaries, death anniversaries, statues unveiled, right? So in every sessions, or maybe the way you read your current affairs in the entire year, you will come across few personalities in news from the historical perspective. So every time whenever you come across it, it is like a clue for you. I keep telling this, a clue for you to revisit your static part. Just go through it. Okay, where this person's, what is his contribution, his or her contribution, in which timeline. Already you'll be learning in the classroom learning. All you have to do is, when you look into the current affairs, go through the static part, especially when it comes to history and polity. Okay. Yes. So statue things and all, they'll not ask. Rather, they would ask the static part. So Ravidas, also known by various names such as Raidas, Rohidas, and Rohidas, all are same. And the most prominent thing is, he hailed from a community traditionally associated with leather work, a cobbler, like Ravidas, Kabir, all these Kabir, and one more if you can add to this, if at all anybody. These saints are known for their contribution in even Ravidas. When it comes to that, Ravidas has his songs or the poems are part of Guru Granth Sahib, it is said. So these are the philosophers who spoke about equality, preached against untouchability, right? So it was not meant as a religion. These Bhakti movement, when we see, most of the saints and the philosophers were actually came out of this concept of the religious mindset, and it was only to attain whatsoever. It's maybe salvation or to the Supreme Being or connectedness to the Supreme Being. That was the crux of, or that was the core idea of all the Bhakti saints, right? Bhakti and Sufi also. So here he is one of the prominent personalities during that time. And one more thing we have to keep in mind is Sant Guru Ravidas ji is also considered as a spiritual guru of the Mirabai, wherein she was also one of the Bhakti saints, we can say. She was also one of the Bhakti saints. This is what we have with Sant Ravidas. Just a news is very simple. That is, regarding the Bhakti saint and the statue is unveiled. Go back to your Bhakti movement revision, static part, and revise it. That's what it is required. Okay. Moving on, one more concept is a Neolithic period. The news is regarding excavation of a child burial site in Tamil Nadu, which dates back to Neolithic age. So child burial site or any excavations that will be seen in news every week, or at least in a month, you come across a couple of various topics here. But the thing is, make sure that what is the technical part there, technical word given in the news, plus where do you have to revisit in your static part. Okay, so here we consider Neolithic period. Neolithic period na consider ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಈ word na. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೀರ all, because it starts off from the early human, right? In the ancient history, ancient ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಈ ಏಜಸ್ ಏನು ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್, ನ್ಯೂ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಬ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಏಜ್, ಕಾಪರ್ ಏಜ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೀರ. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಂತ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕು, Neolithic age. Okay, so recently researchers discovered an ancient burial site near Chennai at Chettimedu Pattur. If I'm pronouncing it right, the site contained the remains of a child along with a nearby pot believed to date back to Neolithic period. When does this time of Neolithic period comes in? If you can answer me, it would be good. Yes. What is the timeline? Where have you learned about this Neolithic period? No idea. Anyone? Yes. Fine. So when we speak of Neolithic period, we also have to look into its previous 7,000 to 3,500 BC. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Okay, if not for UPSC ಅಲ್ಲಿ static factual ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ, KPSC ಗೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಈ ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಚಾಲ್ಕೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎರಾ, ಎಪೋಕ್, ಇಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಲ್ತಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಏಜಸ್, ಅದರದ್ದು ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೂ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಫೈನ್. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಟೇಕ್ ಅವೇ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡೋಣ, ಆಮೇಲೆ what are the key points regarding Neolithic period. So the child's age is estimated to be between 9 and 11 years old. A pot found next to the skeleton is a characteristic of the Neolithic period. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕವೇಷನ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ ಇದು ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪಾಟ್ is been found that is been next to this what do you call as the skeleton. So that gives an idea about which was the age, which was the era wherein these were used. So adra basis melene excavation nodidaga gottagutte, okay, this belongs to this age anta alva. So this is there. So numerous fragments of burnished redware, burnished greyware and redware with elongated necks and wide mouths from the same period were also discovered. The ಏನಂತೀವಿ pottery, the pots that is found, ಅದರದ್ದು shape ನೋಡಿ this belongs to this age ಅಂತ decide ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So what are the features of the Neolithic age? We will see just a gist about it. Neolithic period, neo is new, lithic or litho is stone, so it is also called as the new stone age, marks the last phase of cultural development among the ancient humans. ಯಾಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು last phase ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? Why do we call Neolithic period as the last phase of cultural development among ancient humans? What came after that? After Neolithic period we have witnessed or we have studied, that is Bronze Age, right? So the very cultural aspect changed after Neolithic. A different era came, a different age came. So that is why we call New Stone Age is the last phase of cultural development. So then the cultural aspect changed almost. So it is closely linked with the advent of agriculture, encompassing the cultivation of crops and domestication of animals. In Neolithic stage and ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಈ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಶುರುವಾಯ್ತು, ಅಥವಾ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಸೇ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್, ಮೇ ಬಿ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ವೇರ್ ದೇರ್. ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್ಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಯೂಸೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೇನೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್. ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್, ದಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ, ಅಂಡ್ ಹೌ ವೈರ್ ದೇ. ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ, ನ್ಯೂ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಯೂಸೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇತ್ತು, but this marks the beginning of agriculture, settlement. People started to settle down, right? That happened. So featuring settled human communities, this era commenced approximately 10,000 BC during the Holocene epoch. The epochs athwa era, eons, very very important. When you learn these stone age, old stone age, new stone age and all that, make sure that ad yav epoch ge belong agutte anta. Okay, so it followed the Paleolithic period, Paleolithic in the sense old stone age. Ad nanತರ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಅದು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಿಡಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಏಜ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಬ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಏಜ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್. So Neolithic revolution originating in the Fertile Crescent marked the transition to farming. Fertile Crescent anta kelidira? Have you heard of this word? Fertile Crescent? Yes. What is Fertile Crescent? In the anthropological aspect, Fertile Crescent marks the Middle East, Mediterranean region. ಈ ಜಾಗನ ನಾವು ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್ ಕ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ದ ಕ್ರೆಡಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಕೀ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್, ಈ ಜಾಗ ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್ ಕ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಿಡಲ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಮೆಡಿಟರೇನಿಯನ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಕೀ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಪಾಲಿಶ್ಡ್ stone tools were polished, reliance on domesticated plants and animals, permanent village settlements were seen like this, and the emergence of crafts like pottery and weaving. That is why we have understood from the excavation, okay, this belongs to New Stone Age ke belong agutte anta. The transition to copper metallurgy at the close of Neolithic era initiated the Bronze Age. Neolithic era time alle innenu mugita bantu anta andaga ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಪರ್ ಮೆಟಲರ್ಜಿಗೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏಜ್ ಆ ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್ ನಾವು ಬ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ವೆರ್ ಇನ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಿಫೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಟು bronze tools and weapons, and marking the conclusion of both the Neolithic and Stone ages. So Stone age ಅಥವಾ ಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೀ ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬುರ್ಜಾ ಹೋಮ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರ್. ದಿಸ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ prelims. Okay, these factual things. Shiron in Bihar, Uttar in Andhra Pradesh, and Edakal caves in Kerala. Edakal caves is quite popular. Edakal caves was also recently seen in news. So these are the sites. So Vishya news ಬೇರೆ, ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕವೇಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ನಾವೇನ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ಯು the task would be, the work should be knowing about the Bronze Age and also Paleolithic. But anyway, we will have a quick look at it so that you will have an idea about it. So lower Paleolithic, middle Paleolithic, upper Paleolithic anta kariತೀವಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ Mesolithic ಒಂದು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ Neolithic ಅಂತ ಬಂತು. So lower Paleolithic ಅಲ್ಲಿ introduction of crude stone, you can see the stones here, and bone tools by the early communities of Homo genus. Okay, that genus, and Homo sapiens itself, arrival of early humans began in middle Paleolithic. So early humans antandre, when you can see the comparison between lower Paleolithic and middle Paleolithic, illi fine tools, invention of fire, cooked food, fire idmele ಫುಡ್ ಕುಕ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ಸ್. ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಅಪ್ಪರ್ ಪೆಲಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೈನರ್ ಬೋನ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್, ಆ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಯೂಸೇಜ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅದು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬಂತು. ಮೀಸೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಲಿಥ್ಸ್, ದ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ಸ್ ಶೇಪ್ಸ್ ಈವನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್. ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಈಗಷ್ಟೇ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು, ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪಾಟರಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್. ಕೀಪ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಂಡ್. Neolithic was the stage wherein pottery and agriculture was introduced. This saw a transition from Paleolithic to Neolithic. ಮತ್ತು ಪಾಲಿಶ್ಡ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್, ಆಫನ್ ವಿತ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಸ್. ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅದರ್ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ವಿಲೇಜ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸೀನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈ ವೀವಿಂಗ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಟ್ರಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗಿ ಏನೇನು ಈಗ ನಾವು ಬ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದರದ್ದು ಶುರುನೇ ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿವೈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಸೊ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಟು ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್, ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ಇದನ್ನ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. Vikramaditya Vedic clock was recently inaugurated, okay, in Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. So ಏನಿದು Vikramaditya Vedic clock ಅಂದ್ರೆ? So where should we relate this to and why this was inaugurated? Let's see. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Vikramaditya Vedic clock virtually in Ujjain city, Madhya Pradesh. This was inaugurated. So according to experts, the standard time of the world was determined from Ujjain 300 years ago. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಅದು ಯಾವ ರೀಸನ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ವಾಸ್ ಡೆಟರ್ಮೈನ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಉಜ್ಜೈನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೊಂದು ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಉಜ್ಜೈನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮೋರ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪಾಸಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಸಿಟಿ. ಮಧ್ಯಪ್ರದೇಶಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗುವ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಲೊಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ದಿಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಬಿಲೀಫ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಕ್ಯುರೇಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ನ ಟು ರಿಟೈನ್ ಇಟ್ ಆರ್ ಈವನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಫಾರ್ಗಾಟನ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಪಂಚಾಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತ, ಪಂಚಾಂಗ ಅಂತ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್, ಆ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದನ್ನ ತಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ವೇದಿಕ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದೇರ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ಸ್ or there might be comments or opinions on this, but irrespective of that, when you are not a civil service aspirant or you are just out of it, you can sit and comment on this. But when we look from the exam perspective, where do we connect this Vedic clock or Vikramaditya Vedic clock anta yaak kariತೀವಿ? Why do we call it? ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಇವಾಗ? ಯಾವ ವಿಷಯನ ಏನ್ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ? ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ಹರ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಕ್ರಮಾದಿತ್ಯ, ಹಿಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್? ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ನೋ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್? Can you give me your inputs? Yes, where have you heard? Vikrama Samvat anta kelidira? Vikrama era. Today's, when we say all the calendars or the timings are based on that Indian Panchanga, ಅದು ನಮ್ದು ಲೂನಾರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್ ಏನಂತ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್, ಈ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಮರ್ತು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದು ಅಕ್ಯುರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಏನೋ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅದೊಂದು ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ irrespective of the political narratives, we will look into from the exam perspective. So anyway, you did not answer me, so we will look into the key points into it. So the world's first Vedic clock displays time according to the ancient Indian Panchang system. ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವೇದಿಕ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಇದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಪಂಚಾಂಗ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಏನು ಮುಹೂರ್ತ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಯು ನೋ ಇಟ್ ಬೆಟರ್, ಹೋಪ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಪ್ರೊನೌನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಮುಹೂರ್ತಗಳು ಏನು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಇದನ್ನ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಜಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಉಜ್ಜೈನ್, 85 foot tower. ಇಟ್ ಆಫರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆನ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟರಿ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಮುಹೂರ್ತ್ ಆರ್ ಮುಹೂರ್ತ್, astrological calculations and predictions ಈ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ. So it indicates both Indian Standard Time and Greenwich Mean Time also. Today we follow Greenwich Mean Time. So Indian Standard Time anta bandaga, we know that 82.5 degree east longitude, adra basis mele ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. Actually ಮುಂಚೆ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಉಜ್ಜೈನಲ್ಲಿ. We will look into the key points here. So the clock operates from one sunrise to another, dividing this period into 30 segments, with each hour consisting of 48 minutes as per ISD standards. So developed by Lucknow-based Sanstha Arohan, it's equipped with digital technology for internet connectivity and mobile app features. Ujjain's historical significance in timekeeping being situated at the interaction point of the zero meridian and Tropic of Cancer led to its selection as the clock's location. ಯಾತಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ಜಾಗನ ಉಜ್ಜೈನ್ನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, Tropic of Cancer passes through and also it is an interaction point of the zero meridian and Tropic of Cancer, ಈ ಜಾಗ ಉಜ್ಜೈನ್ ಸಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇದನ್ನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 82.5 degree east longitude for IST. Even before we chose this, we had Ujjain 75.78 degree east was considered Bharat's time meridian anta karitadvi. Adre ಈಗ 82.5 degree east. So what you have to look into is, what I have not added here, ಈ 82.5 degree east longitude ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಸಿಟೀಸ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ವೆರಿ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ early 2000s ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇರೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಸೊ ಲುಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಇಟ್, ಮೇ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಈ ಲಾಂಜಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಈಗ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಯಾವ ಸಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಎಸ್, ದಟ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಲುಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟು. ಸೊ as I'm telling you, how are we connecting this to the historical context? ಈ ವಿಷಯನ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಯಾಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ವಿಕ್ರಮಾದಿತ್ಯ ವೇದಿಕ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ವಿಕ್ರಮ್ ಸಂವತ್. ಸೊ ವಿಕ್ರಮ್ ಸಂವತ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟ್ರೆಡಿಷನಲ್ ಹಿಂದೂ ಲೂನಾರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್. Solar lunar solar antanu ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಎರಡೂನು ಇದೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ, but we are more dependent on the lunar calendar system used in India. It is named after the legendary emperor Vikramaditya of Ujjain and is believed to have been started around 57 BCE. 57 BCE ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ we have this historical sources says. So he is credited with liberating his people from the oppressive rule of the Shaka rulers. So this is marked, his era or the Vikrama era was marked from 57 BCE by commemorating his victory over the Shaka rulers and liberating those people in that region anta heltare. So again it is controversial aspects are there when we look into where it was ruled. Ujjain, his kingdom was entire Akhanda Bharat anta ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಈಗ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Some say it is fake also, but anyway it is not. I mean, the king, regarding the king we have enough sources, but I'm telling about his empire, the extents or expanse. This pivotal event in history marked the beginning of the Vikram Samvat calendar, which is named after him. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ನ ನಾವು ವಿಕ್ರಮಾದಿತ್ಯ ವೇದಿಕ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, because other basis melene ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. So if you can see in this image here, according to Hindu calendar, the what do you call this, ಚೈತ್ರ ಮಾಸ, ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ ನ್ಯೂ ಇಯರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಚೈತ್ರ ಮಾಸ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ಗ್ರೆಗೋರಿಯನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್ ನಾವು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಈಗ. ಗ್ರೆಗೋರಿಯನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಮಂತ್ಸ್, ವೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಮಾಘ, ಫಲ್ಗುಣ, ಚೈತ್ರ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಇಷ್ಟು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ಜಿಯೋಗ್ರಫಿಕಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಲಾಂಜಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್, ಲ್ಯಾಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್, ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಹಿಸ್ಟಾರಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇಂದ ವಿಕ್ರಮಾದಿತ್ಯ, some background of regarding this particular aspect, look into it. Okay, Shaka rulers and all that. So moving on, we look into some governance. Swayam plus platform. The sake of knowing it, we are knowing it. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸಲನು ನೀವು ಈ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಅದು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. Okay, forget about budget allocated and features and all that. Least minimum you should be knowing what is this platform, what is this scheme all about. So Swayam plus platform. Okay, so the Union Minister of Education and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship inaugurated the Swayam plus platform in New Delhi. It is a massive open online course platform. Remember this, it is a massive open online course platform which was launched by the Ministry of Education in 2017. Actually, it is a very old program, yet it was recently in news again. Inaugurated the platform, I mean, the course was already there, inaugurated in New Delhi. So it has been introduced to align with NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020, focusing on providing industry-relevant courses to enhance employability. So Swayam has a acronym. Anyway, it is an acronym basically, we will see that. But ಇದು ಯಾತಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ to align with NEP 2020. Okay, so that the courses ನಾವೇನು ಈಗ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನ ರಿವ್ಯಾಂಪ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರನೇ ಈ NEP ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಏನೇ ಒಂದು ಏನಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, what do you call, we are switching from the rote learning wherein we have by the time we get the jobs, we get into jobs, we should be having enough skill set. That is the idea here. So this is like a online course, open online course for people to enhance their skills. So the platform includes features with such as multilingual content, AI guidance, credit recognition, and pathways to employment. Collaborations with companies like L&T, Microsoft, and Cisco have facilitated. So it is not all by government itself, it has collaborated with other private companies also. Let us see the feature of Swayam Plus platform. Swayam stands for Steady Webs of Active Learning of Young Aspiring Minds. Swayam anta gottidre saku, but for the sake of knowing it, the acronym. Okay, it aims to establish a supportive ecosystem for professional and career growth, benefiting learners, course providers, industry, academia, and strategic partners. I'm just reading it across so that let it fall on your ears. Remember at least one point out of it. That's the idea here. Okay, it seeks to recognize top quality certifications and courses from leading industry and academic collaborators. Andre idu online, open online course ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಲೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಕೊಲಾಬರೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ತಗೊಬಹುದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಲುಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಇಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. thing is looking at your eligibility and looking at the criteria how to log in, one can make use of it. But the thing is, irony is, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಗಳು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ UPSC ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬೆನಿಫಿಷರೀಸ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ UPSC ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ನೋ how well it is been utilized. We need that statistics. That is the loophole, we can say. So the platform endeavors to reach a wide audience across the nation, particularly in tier 2 and 3 towns, tier 2 and tier 3 towns and rural areas, by offering employment oriented courses in diverse fields along with resources in vernacular languages. So specific towns and rural areas alli idana provide ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ in the vernacular languages itself, so they make use of it. This is Swayam. Swayam means open online course, which is in tandem with NEP. That's what. Okay. And one more thing regarding governance is Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, which is an autonomous body, has proposed to create a language atlas of India. So IGNCA ನಾವು ಒಂದು 2 weeks ಮುಂಚೆನೂ ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ ಇದು Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts. It had its it was in news again for I think some traditional aspects, some art forms, listing out or mapping it. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಚ್ ಇನ್ ಲಿಂಗ್ವಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ. ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ಇದೆ, ರೀಜನಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೈಲೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಅದರದ್ದು ಏನು ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ರೂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅದ್ರ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ವೆರೈಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ India is known for its linguistic diversity, but irony is, the sad part is, many indigenous languages have been, what do you call as, it's been diminishing, or it has been disappearing because of lack of usage, basically, right? Especially the tribal languages on the indigenous communities. So IGNCA is in the process of planning a linguistic survey across India. This matters a lot because, speaking of India's linguistic diversity, and also we have something called as official language, scheduled languages. So that's the reason we should be knowing this. Okay. So objective is to develop a comprehensive language atlas that highlights the linguistic diversity of the nation. So the IGNCA is an autonomous body under the Ministry of Culture. Ministry of Culture ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇದು. ಇದು autonomous body, statutory ಅಲ್ಲ, autonomous body. India recognizes 22 languages officially, what we call as scheduled languages, which are part of Schedule 8. So according to census data, 97% of the Indian population speaks one of these languages. And when we see the survey report, in India, on an average, an average person knows at least 2 languages, at least, other than the mother tongue. So at least 2 or maximum or beyond 4+ languages are seen wherein in the given region. So that is how we can understand the linguistic diversity of the country. So why do we need this language atlas? Why the government or the Ministry of Culture is going for this? When we see the backdrop of this, the Linguistic Survey of India was initiated by Sir George Abraham Grayson and was first published in 1928. Colonial time ಅಥವಾ pre-independence time ಅಲ್ಲಿ for the very first time ಒಂದು ಸರ್ವೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, done by Sir George Abraham Grayson, 1928. After independence, the boundaries of Indian states were redrawn, leading to discrepancies between the languages and dialects documented in the LSI and the contemporary Indian states. So post independence ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ Indian boundaries ಅಥವಾ states ಎಲ್ಲ change ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. We know that the states itself are formed on the basis of language, right? Linguistic states, especially the South Indian states. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪೆನ್ಸಿಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆದಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ಗಳು ಮರ್ಜ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತು, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ವಿದಿನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್, ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ತುಳು, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕೊಂಕಣಿ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕೊಡವ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, ರೈಟ್? ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀವು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪಿಚ್ ಇನ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಇನ್ ಕೊಡವ ಅರೆ ಭಾಷೆ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ ವೈಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಇದೆ. ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ಅದರ್. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಮರ್ಜ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ವಿ ಸೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಬಟ್ ವಿದಿನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ dialects are changed, right? So all this were diminished totally. So the LSI encompasses a vast array of languages and dialects, some of which may no longer correspond to specific regions or states in modern India. It so happened like to one person it happened to speak to one of my students. So he belongs to Santal tribe, Santal. Okay, so Santali settled in Northeast, settled in Assam, but from Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Speaks Bodo language, speaks Assamese, speaks Santali, speaks Hindi, and he told me, just like while we are talking, uh, his grandfather made sure that even though he was talking some other language, which is they have every tribe has their own language. Okay, some tribal language even have script. So when they used to not talk, I mean literally the elders in the house, they used to beat them up so that you have to learn the language. Consider the love for the language, or that passion to what do you call as safeguard or to save the language is there, even though people are illiterate. You don't have to be literate, you don't have to be educated to safeguard your language. Every person, every community, every individual knows the importance of the language. And like this, many languages have been diminished, totally diminished. So that is the reason to bring it back. This, what do you call as mapping has been done. Okay. So that is the need. And when we look into the highlights of the survey so far, what is happening? The proposed linguistic survey seeks to enumerate the multitude of languages and dialects in India, including those that are extinct or endangered. Esto languages extinct agide. We have yet to see the survey. When the survey report comes up, you can look into it. As of now, it has started, but the survey report anta bandaga, you can have a look at it. Esto ಭಾಷೆಗಳು ಅಲ್ಲೇ limited ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. So or ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ because of the cosmopolitan aspects, like in many other people are arriving or migrants and merging up and all that, merging the states or maybe bifurcating and all that. Because of this, languages have been diminished. So ಈ survey extinct ಮತ್ತು endangered languages nu add ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Data collection efforts will target both state and regional levels with a specific emphasis on digitally preserving audio recordings of all spoken languages. That task will be done. Stakeholders involved in the survey comprise various governmental bodies such as idu bittu Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Education, Tribal Affairs. Idunu actively there. I mean, these are participating in the survey, right? So these are the minute things never come on the spotlight, and meanwhile still there are many people who are working towards it, translating texts, safeguarding the language by recordings and writings and all these things that is happening. So this would be to be considered one of the aspects. You can connect it to the languages what we have, art and culture agino idanna connect ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Okay, this is what we have in this news. So the next we move on to the governance. You can consider this as governance antana ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬಹುದು. Flu cured Virginia tobacco. So news is very simple here. Government of India approves interest-free loan to this tobacco growers. A flu-cured Virginia tobacco is a variety of tobacco, basically. Flu-cured Virginia, it is not some diseased-oriented tobacco or something. Curating, adna yav riti cure ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ burn ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ use process ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದೆಷ್ಟು Virginia ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರ variety of the American tobacco variety ಇದು. So India is also one of the largest producer, or second largest producer of tobacco after China. We know that tobacco kills, alva tobacco kills anta navella kade advertisement ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, but it is a commercial crop. It is a commercial crop wherein many people or many farmers are dependent on this by cultivating this. Though World Health Organization or there are many government initiatives wherein to stop the usage of tobacco, slowly. And moreover, because of the lucrative, what do you call as perspectives or prospects of the tobacco, people still grow, right? So we know that how it is hazardous to health and all that. Still, there is also a concern wherein WHO says that tobacco is again one of the reasons for the food crisis of the world. Ellelli food crops ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ we are growing tobacco. So that is one of the major crises that is happening. That is one side. Let's look into that on the other side. But let's focus on the news now. Then I'll come to that, some of the highlights. Okay. So news ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಫ್ರೀ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಲೋನ್ ನ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ 2 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಟೊಬ್ಯಾಕೊ ವೆರೈಟಿನ ಗ್ರೋ ಮಾಡೋ 2 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ. These 2 states grow this what do you call as tobacco. So the FCV tobacco crop has been impacted by washing out of crop, drowning of standing crop, water logging and resultant wilting of standing crop due to cyclone Mishong recently. ಯಾತಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಮಿಶಾಂಗ್ ಇತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಮಿಶಾಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್. So it had actually ruined the entire tobacco fields, tobacco farmland. So they have lost. They had a huge loss. These farmers had a huge loss in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. As of now, we got Andhra Pradesh kotta idare anta ide. Okay, so that is there. And also, Government of India permits sale of FCP tobacco on tobacco boards auction platform, and waves of penalty on sale of excess production of registered growers and unauthorized production of unregistered growers in Karnataka. A penalty no wave off ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಯಾಕಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಡಿಸಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. It is not that they are promoting. Government is not promoting tobacco. Government is providing loan to these growers. Good news. So you should not be confused with that. So when it comes to tobacco itself, let's look into some of the highlights of this particular variety. It is a significant commercial crop primarily grown during Kharif season on rain-fed, red, sandy, loamy soils. Remember the what do you call us? The soil type this tobacco variety grows on. The type of FCP tobacco cultivated in Karnataka light soils are known as Mysore style tobacco. Curing is a yakadana cured what do you call as Virginia tobacco on the ekka karitivi antandre. Curing is a crucial process that prepares harvested tobacco for the market by standardizing the procedure to achieve desired leaf qualities and moisture removal. Curing is a process. ಆ moisture ನ ತೆಗೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ process ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ FCV ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So India boasts the cultivation of 10 districts. 10 distinct types of tobacco across 15 states encompassing both cigarette, that is such as FCV, Burley and Oriental. Then we have non-cigarette varieties like BD, chewing, hookah and cigar. Adu non-cigarette varieties ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 2 ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Cigarette and non-cigarette varieties. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 10 ತರದ್ದು ಟೊಬ್ಯಾಕೋನ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ. And we also advertise that tobacco kills, right? So with this diversity, India ranks the world's second largest producer and exporter of tobacco after China. So these are the highlights we know. But when it comes to what do you call as the initiatives what we have taken in India, there are various initiatives such as campaigns are made. I mean, even in OTT platforms also, apart from in movie theaters, ಈಗ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, OTT ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಮೂವೀಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಶೋಕೇಸ್ ಅಥವಾ when they what do you call as ad on the OTT platform, they have to make sure that they give this advertisement regarding tobacco kills and smoking and all that. Everything is given, but still, because of the content, the nicotine, which act as a stimulator to us which activates the central nervous system. So that is why people are addicted to smoking or various tobacco varieties. But on the other way, it is a commercial crop, economically viable crop. That's why it is being grown. So there are still debates going on. It is not very easy also to tackle it, remove it altogether. Something like eucalyptus tree, eucalyptus oil, Nilgiri oil ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So it has a very high economic value, and there are many growers in Karnataka also, especially in Mysore road ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So when government decided to stop or ban this eucalyptus cultivation or trees planting this because of the environmental concern, because we know that eucalyptus trees absorb or suck up excess moisture from the soil, where it makes the entire region arid and dried up. No other plants can grow. So ಈ ತರ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯಾವಾಗ ಈ ರೂಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಂತು, there was a huge protest because people's livelihood are dependent on it. So in a phased manner, slowly we can remove it, not at a time or overnight. No change is possible. That's the reason as of now promotion kinta jasti agi we are not promoting but helping the growers anta government is taking a stance. So this is what we have regarding this. So you can look into the ಟೊಬ್ಯಾಕೊ ನಮಗೆ ಟೊಬ್ಯಾಕೊ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತಾನೂ ಇದೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅದರದ್ದು ಏನು ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಏನು ಅಥವಾ ವಾಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಗ್ರೋಸ್, ಈ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಶನ್, ಟೊಬ್ಯಾಕೊ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸಲನೂ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಮೇನ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. ಇವನ್ ಇನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ KPSC ಆದ್ರೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, UPSC ಆದ್ರೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಟು government securities. Shall we take a short break? Then I'll continue with this. 5 minutes break. Okay. We'll get back after the break. Okay, let's resume. The next we are taking from economy. So the news is regarding government concludes government securities borrowing for the current fiscal. So it is just a report we are looking into, but one should understand what are these government securities. Hope you have learned in your static part or in your classroom learning. So let's see the highlights of this article and also try to understand what are government securities in a brief way. Okay, so at least thrice questions have been asked on government securities. Treasury bills, it's been asked. Okay, and government securities are seen as an option in various questions also. So having an understanding is very important. So in the news, the government has completed government security borrowing for the current fiscal, and it expects dividend from Reserve Bank of India in financial year 25, similar to financial year 24. Now, completed government security borrowing anta andre current fiscal year alli complete ಆಯ್ತು. ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇಂದ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮುಂಚೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅ ಮಿನಿಟ್. So the thing is, what is this and why should government borrow money and why it should be cautious? That matters. So the government is cautious about borrowing money, focusing on responsible financial management. So borrowing is aligned with actual needs, ensuring fiscal prudence. Borrowing funds ide athwa financial mechanism ide ant takshana we cannot with according to our whims and fancies, government cannot do it. So it should do it cautiously, consciously. Actual needs ke matra, avashyakate iddidake matra borrowing ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ government. Now government borrowing through government securities is completed and they anticipate dividend income from RBI. These actions demonstrate efforts to maintain fiscal stability and meet expenditure targets. So ಏನು ಈ T bill ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, treasury bill andre enu, these are the instruments of understanding wherein there are various mechanisms for the government to ensure that they have enough money for their fiscal activities in the year, throughout the year. So e government security andre enu anta first tilkolona. This is the news. Okay, a borrowing complete agide anta kottidare, but what are government securities? So government securities are issued by the central or the state governments and serve as tradable debt instrument. So government securities na enanta karithívi ನಾವು ಒಂದು bond ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, debt instruments ಅಂತ. Okay, so they help governments borrow money from the public to finance fiscal deficit. So bonds, debt instruments are basically the papers or the bonds wherein you keep this as what do you call as a security and you borrow money from. So they are a way for the government to borrow money from the people. So how do they work exactly, right? So these include short-term treasury bills and long-term bonds or dated securities and all that. When we speak of its working, when you buy a government security, you are lending money to the government. So we are buying, so they issue bonds. I mean, what do you call as government on the other side, central or state government, they issue bonds and we buy it. By buying, lending the money to the government for its activities, right? So in return, the government promises to pay you back the amount you lent plus some extra money called interest. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಸಾಲ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ, but there is a bond, there is a instrument involved in here through a proper mechanism. ಅದೇ government securities ಆ ರೀತಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, debt instruments ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So yes, so when we speak of types of government securities, we have, as it is mentioned, it is short-term treasury bills, long-term bills anta ನಾವು the bonds ಅಂತನೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So treasury bills are usually short-term loans, while bonds are long loans. You have to remember that treasury bills ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು short-term loans ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, bonds long-term ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so ಯಾರು ಅದನ್ನ issue ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, who can issue it? So while the central government issues both treasury bills and bonds, treasury bill is a short-term bill, remember, bonds are the long-term bill, and the state government issue bonds known as state development loans. ಎರಡೂನು ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಎರಡದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಸರು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ are they safe is the next question. Are they safe? So government securities are considered risk-free investments offering fixed returns without the risk of default, because it is from the government obviously, alva. So ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಈ ಡೆಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಈ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಬಾರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾಟಿಕ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ, ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಇಟ್ so that you can have quite a revision and also you have an understanding about it. Okay, so types of government securities anta bandaga, treasury bills, as I've already mentioned. Treasury bills are the securities, same bond, that pay no interest but are issued at the discount and redeemed at face value upon maturity. Idella adradu procedure yav reetiyagi navu adannu use ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. Cash management bills anta bandaga, these are short term instruments again, used to address temporary cash flow imbalances. They resemble T-bills but have maturities of less than 91 days. Time period alli change agutte. Cash management bills. Dated government securities are securities with fixed or floating coupon rates. Interest rates fixed ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Paid semi-annually, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ dated ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. Semi-annually on the face value. They typically have tenors ranging from 5 to 40 years. So minimum 5, maximum 40 years ತನಕ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಡೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲೋನ್ಸ್, as we have already seen that ಇದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ನ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ they issue the bond, they borrow the money, okay, and they have to pay the interest. So RBI ಜೊತೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ usually. So state governments issue SDLs to raise funds from the market. SDLs are dated securities issued through auctions similar to those conducted for central government securities. So funds from the market anta bandaga, you might have heard about the term open market operations. Have you? Open market operations anta kelidira. So open market operations andre, so they will issue this, what do you call it, through commercial banks. So they do not directly lead with the public. So RBI carries out this open market operations. ಓಪನ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್, ಈ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ. ಇದು ಒಂದು ವೇ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಬಾರೋ ಮನಿ, ಓಪನ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ budget allocation for the various programs, various aspects, how when the government has to run maybe all the investments that is taking up, ಒಂದು ವೇ ಔಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಗಾಟ್ ದಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ. News is very simple, it is just a report, but this is, I have just briefed it up. Go to your economics, whatever you have learned, I mean Indian economy ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Okay, these instruments, this is very very important. Moving on to science and tech. Recently a snake venom neutralizing antibody was developed in India. IAS scientists. ಯಾಕೆ ಇದು ತುಂಬಾ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ನೇಕ್ ವೆನಮ್? ಸ್ನೇಕ್ ವೆನಮ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ನೇಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಥ್ರೈಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ವೇಸ್. ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೆರಿ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್, if my memory is right, serves me right, king cobra lays eggs, basically. Related to that fact, it's been asked, because the rest of all these snakes are viviparous, king cobra is oviparous. ಈ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು, some snakes are oviparous ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So biologically some questions have been asked on snakes so far. Apart from that, India is also one among various other countries in African and Asian countries wherein it faces an issue of snake bites throughout the country. There is no region specific as such. Throughout the country this problem prevails. So adikoskara antibody is very very important. What do you call it, to neutralize the toxins from the snake bite. So that's why this development is very very important. That's why what do you call it, the scientist contribution is very very important. So researchers at the IAS in Bangalore have created a synthetic human antibody capable of neutralizing the powerful neurotoxin produced by deadly snakes like cobras, king cobras, kraits and black mambas. So India dalli certain snake bites ideyala, so it is highly venomous. So ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸ್ನೇಕ್ ವೆನಮ್ಗೂ ಅದರದೇ ಆದ ಒಂದು ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ, ಈ ಸಿಂಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ರಿಸರ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಬಿಲೀವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಸ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸರ್ ಟು ಅ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಲ್ ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡಿ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸ್ನೇಕ್ಸ್, ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸ್ನೇಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ದಟ್ ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡಿ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್. ಸೊ ಇದೊಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್, ದಿಸ್ ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ವಿಷಯಗಳು, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಏನು ವೆನಮಸ್ ಸ್ನೇಕ್ಸ್ ಬೈಟ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡಿಯಾಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So such a solution could provide broad protection against various types of snake venom. Snake bites result in numerous fatalities annually, particularly in India and sub-Saharan Africa. So this is a pressing concern where it is not seen much. It happens. It is a very serious concern. People are dying because of snake bites in different places in India. Yet it is not addressed in a very efficient manner. Okay, that's why we have just taken this and also have given examples of the questions asked in the past. So ee naalku ನೀವು ಏನು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ, ರಸಲ್ಸ್ ವೈಪರ್, ಕಾಮನ್ ಕ್ರೇಟ್, ಕಾಮನ್ ಕೋಬ್ರಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಾ ಸ್ಕೇಲ್ಡ್ ವೈಪರ್. ಈ ನಾಲ್ಕನ್ನ ನಾವು ಬಿಗ್ 4 ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಬಿಗ್ 4, like how we have big 5 cats in India, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ wild cats. So we have these 4 snakes are called as big 4 anta, because the snake bites in India, the deaths, snake bite related deaths are happening because of these 4 only in the recent past. That is the reason adke big 4 anta kariteve. We are not actually villainizing them, vilifying them. Rather, snakes are very much required to the ecosystem. And why do they enter in the, or why is this human counter or the interaction that is happening basically? Why are they found there? Maybe loss of habitat, lack of prey base, or maybe the way where people are settled down. That also matters, right? So according to Indian Council of Medical Research, India recorded about 1.2 million snake bite related deaths between 2000 to 2019. 12 lakh snake bite related deaths in India. So on average, this accounts for 58,000 deaths annually in India alone. So 58,000 deaths are happening in India because of snake bites. India constitutes nearly 50% of the global snake bites fatalities. 50% global, not the 50% share contribution India, and foreigners, of course, they call us in the pratiyondu on the documentaries alagirbodu athwa previous historical texts al nodidaga India is called as land of snake charmers. We are known for snake charming, and we have a number of tribes and all that. So India is a place where we have variety of snakes, species of snakes, but this is also a trouble here. So the WHO has classified snake bite envenoming, andre snake bite, as neglected tropical disease of high priority. Neglected tropical disease anta ಒಂದು list of diseases ಇರುತ್ತೆ WHO ಪ್ರಕಾರ. So ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ high priority ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. It is not a disease of course, but it is a threat when it comes to health. So India's initiative, in accordance with the WHO snake bite envenoming strategy and the United Nations Sendai framework. ಈ Sendai framework ಈ word ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು? Disaster management ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Sendai framework is related to disaster management. ಇದನ್ನ disasters ಅಂತನಾಗಿನೂ ನಾವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ. India adopted a national action plan in 2015 to address this problem. Sendai framework ಕೆಳಗೆ ಈ snake bite nu one of the disasters in India in agricultural fields where people are staying in the near the tracts of the forest, bordering areas. So illella idu problem agutte. Okay, so remember the names at least. Ee naalku hesrana ಒಂದು ಏನು they have asked in options among these 3 questions of what I told you. Common crate, this king cobra related questions only I believe. Common crate, saw scaled viper, Russell's viper, idanna options agi kelidare. So anyway, this is in news. This can be important. Okay, this is what we have. Then from science that you can consider under science and tech also, disaster management also. Next is Gaganyaan. I hope you have come across this. The what do you call us? The manned mission for space into space, right? Space flight mission, human space flight mission anta karithivi. So recent agi enittu news alli antandre 4 IAF pilots named as possible Gaganyaan crew. So 4 ಜನನ select ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ recent ಆಗಿ. That happened recently in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram. So naming of them is a news, but you have to go back to Gaganyaan as the features of Gaganyaan and what are the what do you call as the plans we have in the upcoming years. And one more, this robo also, which has to, what is the name of the robo here? Vyom Mitra anta kelirbod ನೀವು. We have learnt in the previous, right, artificial intelligence or the robot for launching into space. So Vyom Mitra anta ಹೆಸರಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಾವು. So ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So okay, so India on Tuesday announced the names of the 4 astronaut designates for the Gaganyaan human spaceflight mission planned for the launch in 2025. So names of the pilots ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. It is do not matter, for the sake of it I have added. The final crew for the mission will be picked from among the 4. So final crew ಇವ್ರು 4 ಜನ ಏನು they will choose. The Gaganyaan program is designed to demonstrate indigenous capability to undertake human space flight mission to low Earth orbit. ಅದನ್ನ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಬೇಕು. So from your static part, ಈ low Earth orbit ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Okay. So what is this orbit about? What are the satellites that are launched here? This is like very basic. ಇದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, that can be asked. ISRO has also announced plans to send astronauts to the moon by 2040. ಅದು ಒಂದಿದೆ. Gaganyaan ನಂತರ send astronauts like human mission again to moon. Human on moon, because so far Gaganyaan anta bandaga India is trying to join the elite club, wherein other countries such as the US, Russia and China have already done this. A human spaceflight mission already agide. So India is aspiring to join this elite club by taking this mission called as Gaganyaan. So I've just put up this report as such. This is very old news already, Gaganyaan another. So up until 2025, what all updates you see regarding this, you can keep a tab on it. Ali tanka just knowing about this will do. Okay. Then Forest Conservation Act. So speaking of Forest Conservation Act, recently you might have seen this in news, or you might have learned in the class also. So what is this Forest Conservation Act actually is, and why it is in news, and what did Supreme Court say? Supreme Court recently gave an interim order on the Forest Act. So Forest Conservation Act of 1980 ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ. Forest Conservation Act of 1980 was recently amended, or it was Forest Conservation Amendment Act of 2023, Conservation Act of 2023. So recently the Supreme Court directed the government to stick to the broad definition of forest as stated in a 1996 case until a final decision is made on a petition. Main problem ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ Forest Conservation Act ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಒಂದು, yes, about the definition of the forest, ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್. Now, what is forest? What is the definition of forest? Who is going to decide what is forest? Because every states on their own, in different contexts, they have defined forest in their own way. Supreme Court says follow the dictionary definition, but the amendment has changed quite a few things in the Amendment Act. That's why petition is still pending. I mean, the case is going on, and as of now there is an interim order given to the government saying that as of now just follow the definition that has happened in 1996. When we are talking about 1996 case, which is that case? Godavarman case, was Godavarman versus Union of India, right? We'll see the background now. The court also requested the government to release a combined record of land identified as forest by states and union territories by April. So ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತನ ಆ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೂ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಇದೆರಡು ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. Government, Supreme Court has done this, or Supreme Court has ordered like this. Okay, ಒಂದು ಸೇಮ್ ಡೆಫಿನಿಷನ್ ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಾ ಅದರದ್ದು ಲಿಸ್ಟ್, ಇದೆರಡು ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್, ಯಾಕೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾರೆ ಅಂತ we will see the backdrop. The Forest Conservation Act, which came into force in 1980, was conceived to stop the razing of forest. As the name itself suggests, conservation ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ನ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದು 1980 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು. ಸೊ 1980 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, when we speak of 1980, this act was brought. We have to look into forest comes under what subject. We have 3 lists, right? We have union list, concurrent list, state list. So it was in 1976, right? 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, forest was added into concurrent list. Concurrent list anta andaga both central and the state government has equal say. Correct. So after that 1976 ಆದ ನಂತರನು ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ then the state government started establishing their own idea about the forest. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ equal, they had an equal say. And that was a time wherein government brought this Conservation Act wherein it needed this centralization. Though it was under concurrent list, it needed a centralization. So ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ act ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. Plus to protect the forest. An estimated 4 million hectares of forest land had been diverted from 1951 to 75. So you can see the timeline here. 1951 in the 75 tankanu 4 million hectares of forest was diverted. Diverted anta andre for other than forest purpose, baki ella infrastructure development idikella use ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. 1975 ನಂತರ ಏನಾಯ್ತು 1976 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಈ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಬಂತು. ಸೊ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡೈವರ್ಷನ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬಂತು. ಸೊ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ ಇಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್. This law mostly affected areas officially designated as forest land either by the Indian Forest Act or by state records since 1980. ಈ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ 1927 ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕೊಲೋನಿಯಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ which was brought out by British or by state records since 1980. So ಯಾವಾಗ ಈ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಬಂತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ನಾವು. ಸೊ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಗೋದವರ್ಮನ್ ತಿರುಮಲ್ ಪದ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ 1996 ಏನ್ ಅನ್ನತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನನ್ನತ್ತೆ, ಗೋದವರ್ಮನ್ ವರ್ಸಸ್ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಈ ಕೇಸ್ ಏನನ್ನತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ಅ ಪೆಟಿಷನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ವಾಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ಸೇಫ್ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆಕ್ಚುಲ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತರ ಇರೋದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್. ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವಿಂಗ್ ದ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂತು. ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತು, ಓಕೆ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಮ್ ಇನ್ 1996 ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ okay, anywhere in India, anywhere in the country, felling of trees should be stopped. Forest ಯಾವುದೇ ತರ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ರು ಅದನ್ನ ಫೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಮರ ಕಡಿಯೋದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟೆಡ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡ್ಲೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆರ್ ಓನರ್ಶಿಪ್. ನೀವು ಓನ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮರಗಳನ್ನ ಕಡಿಯೋ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. Even if at all you are doing it, it should be informed to the department. If it is your own agricultural land or whatever it is, for any purpose, that should be well informed. So that why are you doing this? What is this logging and all that? That was what we call as expected. So it introduced the concept of deemed forest, areas resembling forest not officially classified as such in government records. ಈ 1996 ಕೇಸ್ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, as we are trying to understand that ಎಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಮರ ಕಡಿಯೋ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಬಂದ ನಂತರ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂತು. ಇದರಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಡೀಮ್ಡ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಡೀಮ್ಡ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ, ಬಟ್ ದೇ ರಿಸೆಂಬಲ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತರ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು, ಅದನ್ನ ಡೀಮ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಮರ ಕಡಿಯೋಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ 1980, ಓಕೆ, 1980 and 1996. ಈಗ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದ ನ್ಯೂ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ 2023 ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್ some of the features of the act itself, wherein ಯಾವ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನ ಡೈವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೆಕ್ಟೇರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಈ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ಡ್ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಡೆಸಿಗ್ನೇಟೆಡ್, ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಡೆಸಿಗ್ನೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮುಟ್ಟಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್, ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್. ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನಿಷನ್ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಪುನಃ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹೂ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ತರ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಫಾಲೋ ದ ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್. ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಥಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾನಪಿ, ಟ್ರೀಸ್, ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏನಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ the state governments on their own started defining on their own. ಈ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, if you have come across this article, If you have read this, you have a number of examples also. I'm just actually briefing it out. So ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆದ್ರ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಇದು ಡೀಮ್ಡ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ತರ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಬಂತು. ಸೊ ಇದರಿಂದ ಈಗ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಈ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದದಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಈಗ ಇಂಟರಿಮ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಫ್ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ದ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ನೆವರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪೆಂಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ 1980 ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಏನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಎಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಮರ ಕಡಿಯೋಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಅದು ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಎಂಫಸೈಸಸ್ ದ ನೀಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಫರ್ನಿಶ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಕಮಿಟೀಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೀಮ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಸೆಂಟರ್. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಅಸ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ what is the extent of deemed forest in the place, and that should be published by the center. Adu nodid nantra we will decide what can be done. Additionally, the court invalidated plans to establish zoos and safari parks on the forest land. Esto list ide, in your static class you will be learning, ನೀವು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀರಾ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಝೂ ಸಫಾರಿ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ಫೆನ್ಸಿಂಗ್. We can use the places next to, or the region next to the railway tracks and roads and all. ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ 0.10 hectares ಏನೋ ಅಷ್ಟನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್. ಎರಡು ವಿಷಯ, ಒಂದು ಈ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನಿಷನ್, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಇನ್ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಝೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಫಾರಿ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಒಳಗೆ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇದು, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್? ಈ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್ ದ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಭೂಮಿ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸುತ್ತ ಇರುವಂತ ಜಾಗನ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರುವ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸಫಾರಿ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್, ಝೂನ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್, ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಝೂ ಯಾಕೆ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ, right? And also we have enough zoo, enough safari parks, enough national parks. We have Wildlife Protection Act for that. Why do we need it? That is the idea in here. So that will merge two legislations together. That is not required. This is the interim order of the Supreme Court. So now it's at pause. But one should be knowing, nimge en gothirbekantre, maybe classification of the forest, types of forest, or ಈಗ recent forest report. India has 24.7 or 24.9% of the geographical areas under forest. So ಈ recent survey ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, India's state of forest report, which is a biennial report. Once in 2 years ಅದನ್ನ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾರು? ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, FSI. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಹೈಲೈಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಷ್ಟು. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಆಕ್ಟ್. ನಾವು ಸೊ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್, ಆಂಫಿಪಾಡ್ ಅಂತ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ. ಚಿಲ್ಲಿಕಾ ಲಗೂನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಚಿಲ್ಲಿಕಾ ಲೇಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So why it is important? What is their importance? We will see. So researchers have identified a novel species of marine amphipod, a crustacean resembling a shrimp. Shrimp ತರ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಜೀವಿನ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, which belongs to the genus Parylene in Chilika Lake. Okay, Chilika Lake is the Asia's largest brackish water lake. And India's largest brackish water lake, of course, right? Brackish water, salt lake, brackish water. The study in Odisha, the study has revealed that the new species is brown in color and around 8 millimeters in length. ಈಗ recent ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Doesn't mean that we do not have it elsewhere. We have it in the marine region, in the sea, in the open oceans we have, even in the brackish water lake allu irutte. Okay, it looks like a crustacean, like a what do you call a shrimp. So it has 13 pairs of legs. The first pair of leg is used for capturing prey and feeding upon. So idu adardu basic features. Idra ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, Odian comes after the name Odisha itself. Odia language itself. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದನ್ನ ಈ ತರ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Genus Parylene ಅಂತ. Okay, Parylene. So what are amphipods? Amphipods ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Instead of asking about the genus, sometimes they will ask the scientific names. ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಈ ಫಂಗಸ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಆಂಫಿಪಾಡ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಆಂಫಿಪಾಡ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಇಮೇಜ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಸಿ ಇಸ್, ವೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೇನು ಈ ಆಂಫಿಪಾಡ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ವೇಲ್ ಲೈಸ್ ಅಂತ, LICE, ಲೈಸ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಲೈಸ್ ಆನ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ಸ್. lice on whales will be there. Hanganta noddaga it looks like stomach churning image of like this. I mean, it is very disturbing, but when you look into it, these are lice on the whales, which are seen popularly on the whales, but these do no harm. Actually, in a way, they benefit the whales and the health scientist. They feed on the wounds and scars and all that. They eat off the dead tissues and skin and all that. Actually, it is benefited, but unless sometimes they might what do you call as lead to scarring of what do you call as tearing the skin tissues, tearing of the skin tissues of the whales. But apart from that, it does no harm. So it get attached to the whales like lice. Adu one example of amphipods. So in this news, we can see amphipods belong to a varied category of mallow-crustacean crustaceans, sharing a certain characteristics with crabs, lobsters, and shrimp. Shrimp, crabs, so the genus Ferahale comprises 15 species worldwide, inhabiting marine and brackish water environments, found in intertidal littoral regions across tropical and warm temperate areas. They have a cosmopolitan distribution. So CLU irutte, brackish water lake irutte, intertidal regions irutte. Okay. Amphipods are a significant group in the marine ecosystem and play a vital role in the marine food chain because they do no harm. They are like crabs and lobsters and shrimp ಅಂತ ಅಂದಾಗ zooplanktons ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬಹುದು ನಾವು ಅಥವಾ primary ಅಥವಾ secondary consumers ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬಹುದು food chain ಅಲ್ಲಿ. They also serve as indicators for studying the impact of climate change and health of coastal ecosystem. Wherever they are present in the coastal ecosystem, that actually signifies the health of the ecosystem. So these are amphipods. Okay, amphipods ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Just remember the name. This was recently seen in news in Chilika Lake. One more thing is regarding fungi species. Rowan olmi. Recently, mushrooms were seen in news in Goa. So wherein turning mushrooms into gold, Goan researchers claim breakthrough producing nanoparticles. So idu termitomyces species. Termitomyces species anta yak kariತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ they grow on termite hills. ಈ ಗೆದ್ದಲು ಹುಳ ಜಾಗ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಟರ್ಮೈಟ್ ಹಿಲ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಳೆಯುತ್ತಿದ್ದು fungus or maybe mushroom basically, right? So this is seen in Western Ghats, and recently using that these mushrooms, they are using this nanoparticles of gold from it. Idondu innovation. Okay, but from the exam perspective, from the ecological perspective, we have to understand these mushrooms are which belong to fungi group order, and also they exhibit this interaction with the termite hills. So how it works, we will see. So 2 researchers based in Goa have announced the successful synthesis of gold nanoparticles using a wild mushroom species commonly consumed as a delicacy in the coastal region. So usually they eat it. It is not poisonous or something. Mushrooms are edible mushrooms, these are. So the mushroom belongs to the termitomyces species and is commonly found growing on termite mounds. So locally known as Rowan olmi in Goa, it is favored edible wild mushroom among the locals in the monsoon season. Notably, these mushrooms are entirely reliant on termite for their growth and do not exist independently. Andre dependency daily, one-sided symbiosis ide. Okay, so termites mele depend agutte. We can call it as possibly maybe commensalism anta karibodu. So one is benefited, the other one is unharmed. So idu ee mushroom idu termites mound mele ಬೆಳೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು termitomyces species anta ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Okay, we are talking about the biotic interaction here. What are the key takeaways from this news is these are indigenous to Western Ghats. They can thrive in the lush forest cover, high humidity, optical breeding environment. They are very, very, very important in environment because they act as a potent decomposer fungus, decomposing activities in grassland and forest. They transform 50% of the diseased plant material into fertile soil. We know that decomposers plays a very important role, the micro consumers. Here mushrooms are the decomposers which feed on dead and wherein they convert this 50% of the dead or the diseased plant material into fertile soil. Okay, so this one are edible, but not every mushroom is edible. Some are poisonous also. So these are edible because of their distinct texture, taste, and nutrient profile and potential health benefits. So they also have medicinal significance in other places also. But the concern in here is today, because of this over popularity ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಈ cultivation ಅಥವಾ harvesting, ಇದು wild mushrooms, they cannot be grown in whatever we have this, right? How we grow mushrooms in the closed arena, not like that. So these are wild mushrooms only. During post monsoon we get it in the Western Ghats. But the trouble is, because of continuous harvesting ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ fertility of the soil ಮೇಲೆ effect ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Because of the edible mushrooms, ಈ taste ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದನ್ನ harvest ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದು ಒಂದಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್, ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟ್ರೈಡ್ taking up this nanoparticles of cold, or using this nanoparticles of cold, adu innovation that doesn't matter to us. We will just look into the importance of mushroom, ecological significance of mushroom as a decomposer, adana navilli nodta ideve. Okay, then biotrig was recently in news. So what does this biotrig actually mean? It is a new waste management technology. I have taken this news because biochar ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, this is like how to handle or manage waste. Okay, so recent studies suggest that a novel waste management technology enabling pyrolysis is like burning at high temperature. Burning waste at high temperature is pyrolysis at a community level could potentially aid rural Indians in reducing indoor air pollution, enhancing soil health, and producing clean power. So biotrig ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು a community level pyrolysis system which was recently seen in news. Keep that in mind. It's a waste management technology. Adana neevu connect ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಈ ರೀತಿ. So pyrolysis is a form of chemical recycling, transforms residual organic materials into constituent molecules. Adana burn ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ organic matter ಅಥವಾ waste na, wet waste na burn ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅದರಿಂದ ಸಿಗುವಂತದನ್ನ we can use it for what do you call as torrefaction ಅಥವಾ pelletization ಮಾಡಿ ಅಥವಾ burn ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ farms ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಆ ರೀತಿ. So this process involves enclosing the waste in an oxygen free chamber and heating it to temperature exceeding 400 degrees Celsius, resulting in the production of valuable chemicals. So waste na oxygen free chamber ಅಲ್ಲಿ 400 degrees Celsius ಅಲ್ಲಿ burn ಮಾಡಿ, so we'll get out of it, you'll get chemicals or molecules which you can use in agriculture. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು biotrig ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಸರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So here this is the process how it works. The syngas and the bio oil from the pyrolysis are used to provide heat and power for the future cycles with surplus electricity, benefiting the local homes and business. Yen ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, I'm not going through the entire thing because technical aspect ಅಥವಾ mechanism ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಬಯೋಕಾರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, biotrig is a waste, you can see here biotrig is a waste management technology. Okay, ಇದು biomass ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ whatever it is been waste or which is not used ಅಥವಾ logs ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಡೆಡ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಯೋಟ್ರಿಗ್ ಈ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಪೈರೋಲಿಸಿಸ್, ಬಯೋಟ್ರಿಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೈರೋಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ 400 ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬಯೋಕಾರ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಯೋಚಾರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾರ್ಕೋಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ರೆಸಿಡ್ಯೂ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಮಸಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿನ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಆಗೋ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿನ ರೂರಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆಯಿಲ್ ನ ಅಗೇನ್ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಕುಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇಷ್ಟು ಅದರದ್ದು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದಟ್. ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ನ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸಿಂಗ್ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ ಮೀಥೇನ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗೋ ಬದಲು ಈ ಬಯೋಮಾಸ್ ನ ನಾವು ಈ ಪೈರೋಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ we can have multiple benefits: electricity, farmland, and also oil, cooking oil. That is the concept of biotrig here. Okay, this is what we have regarding biotrig. So yes, we have learned few topics today. So this is the last topic. We can conclude. So hopefully you followed the session. Some of the topics I have added. I think I have mentioned the questions also. That is why most of the times the topics I discuss here, we go according to the pattern of the question paper, or basically whether the related topics have been asked in the past. Adana nodkondo ನಾವು current affairs selective ಆಗಿ ಓದಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. You have to selectively read current affairs. That is also there. Reading everything is okay. In a way, it is safe because you are not leaving out anything. But make sure that you give priority to the ones which have been asked, the topics which have been asked in the past. Okay, that is what it matters. So for today, this is what we have. Brumation. Brumation is a process. Brumation is also a concept wherein, like hibernation. Brumation. You came across this word brumation. Brumation is nothing but like hibernation, which is found in some of the mammals. Hibernation ಮತ್ತೆ estivation ಅಂತ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಲ್ಲ, we have learnt in static part. Brumation is also a way wherein the organisms suspend, or it is a suspension activity seen in certain animals. Okay, we can consider it as a behavioral adaptation to the abiotic component, behavioral adaptation to the surroundings. Okay. Okay, what is the difference between the two? Usually what happens is, okay, brumation and hibernation. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬ್ರೊಮೇಷನ್ ಹೈಬರ್ನೇಷನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ವಿಂಟರ್. ಬ್ರೊಮೇಷನ್ ನಾವು ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹೈಬರ್ನೇಷನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಂಟರ್ ಸೀಸನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಬ್ರೊಮೇಷನ್ ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದು ಇಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ ಕೋಲ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಲಡೆಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ see, when cold blooded animals, their body temperature is dependent on external environment itself. So ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, they cannot actually sustain because their body also goes entirely cold. In that condition, they go for a suspended activity. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು brumation ಅಂತ ಅಂತೀವಿ. Basically brumation, hibernation, estivation ಎಲ್ಲ suspension. But when we look into certain features, ಅಥವಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೊ ಬ್ರೊಮೇಷನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ವೆರಿನ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೀನ್ ಇನ್ ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್, ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಾರ್ಮೆನ್ಸಿ, ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಡಾರ್ಮೆನ್ಸಿ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬಹುದು. ಹೋಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಎಸ್. ಸೊ we'll wind up for today. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you so much. Hope you followed the class. Take care. Okay, I'll just share the notes. Okay, thank you so much.